This is Brindlewood Bay Tourist Season Part 3. I want to do a quick bit of recapping, and then we'll select new end of session questions and then kind of pick up from there. So last session was a pretty hard turn into the supernatural, and in particular, the creepy history of the town. And it was great. But the thing is there's still a murder and there's still a murder mystery. So some of these like creepier details may have nothing at all to do with the murder, right? They're just things happening because Brindlewood Bay is Brindlewood Bay. And so let's take a look at our current mystery, which is the long dark tea time of the Solus. Take a look at what we have in terms of clues. So as a reminder, Esther's friend, Letitia, was in town allegedly reviewing hotels, but probably investigating something else because she's a hard-hitting investigative reporter, or was, is poisoned at Snowdrop House and is dead. And this is the murder you are investigating, because right now the sheriff's department has sent a highly incompetent sheriff's deputy to keep control of the situation. So our clues are, we do know that Letitia drank from a glass of poisoned pomegranate juice. The young sort of gopher who works at Snowdrop House, Percy Underwood, has a ticket for the next bus out of town. There were some charred guest book pages in the kitchen's oven, or sort of wood-fired oven. And then we know that there are secret rooms somewhere in Snowdrop House. Those are the current clues. The complexity is 7. You'll need to find a few more in order to have a decent shot at your final theorized roll. If we could just go through and everybody could say what conditions they have right now, that would be awesome. I'm going to start with Esther.
Sorry, I had to look them up. I have Bloodhound and Unnerved.
I'll remind everyone that you actually talk to a spirit in the fire. You did a Ouija board. Oh, we got to talk about that Ouija board thing too. I have some move text for you, which is, I don't know exactly how the trigger is going to go, but basically it's whenever you consult a Ouija board to contact a spirit, roll a sensitivity. On a hit, you make contact with the spirit and it answers a single question for you. The answer can be in the form of a clue. On a 10 plus, the spirit doesn't ask for anything in return. On a miss, the spirit is angry and attacks with spectral force. That is sort of where I'm at with the Ouija board move. Does that sound okay, Alicia, since you also get to kind of have some input on how it's written?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, I'm going to add that to the move sheet then. No, that's not how I want it to look. Hold on. Let's merge all these cells, shall we? And let's text wrap as well. Okay, that'll work for now. So yeah, so the Ouija board move is now something that everyone can do. So if you really just want to lean into that, you are welcome to do it. Fantastic. Let's go over to Ruth. Dan, what conditions does Ruth have right now?
So Ruth has scared, unnerved, and brave face.
And Ruth learned last time that Sheriff Dalrymple was involved in a sort of torches and pitchforks thing back in the summer of '67, and maybe a bunch of hippies were killed. It's not totally clear, but in any case, he was the leader of it. He was pretty young then, and it all happened because of, and allegedly this boy went missing and people were blaming this commune, right? Laura actually asked you if you would inquire with Sheriff Dalrymple about that, and so just a reminder that she had kind of asked you to do that, Ruth. Ida, what are your conditions? You don't have any. So.
I'm actually condition free right now.
Yeah. We do, however, have to do a Crown of the Queen for you, and so we're going to do that at the very start. And then let's go over to Laura. What are your conditions right now, Laura?
So Laura's conditions are the clouded past and from last time, the black dog.
I think that's going to be really interesting to
she's
see how the
seeing
black
the black
dog,
dog.
yeah, how that, I'm dying to see how that plays out in the story. It might be something I have to kind of do, but I don't know, if you can think of ways to work the black dog in, I'm excited by that. Cool. And also, one last little bit of sort of like commentary, I guess, was last week, Ida went into these caves where apparently some sailors who were doing some occult shit used to like go and drink and do their occult shit. And Abraham Stockton told Ida a story about the founding of the town, which is basically a whaling ship pulled up this big monster from the ocean and they sold its parts all over the world, and they used that money to fund the town, right? It probably might have the most tenuous connection imaginable to the actual mystery, but it's just something worth noting. And so with all that said, let's go ahead and choose new dawn questions. Oh, there it is. I gotta put a quarter in my between jar. Our end of session questions, and we'll be ready to go. So you get to choose 2 new ones if you wish, or you can leave them the same. And let's, since we're in the middle of the mystery, let's just start off with, I'm going to say that I'm going to kind of fast forward time just a little bit and put everybody back at Snowdrop House, but it's kind of like getting to be evening, like maybe late afternoon, like let's say like twilight, right? Like it's going to be pretty dark. It's going to be. The sun is kind of pink, right? Or the sky is kind of pink and purple. And let's do your crown of the queen thing, Ida. What is it you have to do, and then do it.
Yeah, so the Crown of the Queen that I chose was a flashback of your fondest memory with one of your children. And the scene that I imagined was a time, well, first for context, I think I talked about this way back in the setup, but Ida had 2 children, Hal and Andromeda. And I think this scene takes place with Andromeda when she's maybe 9 or 10. And the 2 of them are together. It's like a fall festival in whatever city they live in at the time. This is well before she moves to Brindlewood Bay. And they're in like the town square where there's been set up this massive like hay bale maze that, the streets have just been totally taken over by this winding paths. That especially from a child's perspective seems, impossibly high walls, and, how could I possibly find my way through here? And so I think that Ida lets her daughter really take the lead in guiding them through the maze, trying to get to the town center where there's like, some bobbing for apples or some prize there at the end. And at first, they just end up going in circles, like not really finding their way through this maze. And then she sort of like, prompts her daughter like, well, now think about, we've solved mazes on paper before. How do we do that? And it just like clicks for Andromeda, and she starts like pulling pieces of hay from the bales to mark the paths they've gone through. And they make short work of it from there. They mark off paths they've crossed. They continue winding the way through, and they finally make it to the end. And Andromeda is just like so proud of what she's accomplished. And I think that as her mother, Ida is just like so incredibly happy for and proud of her daughter as well. And so I think that's the moment that she thinks back on in that scene earlier.
Love it. Thank you. Oh, one other thing to remind you all of too, so we don't forget. Ruth was tacked, or at least was not physically, but was threatened in the room, in Letitia's room. A dark, shadowy figure pulled a gun on Ruth, and that person got away. But just one other thing to kind of note about last week. So if it's okay, I'd like to I don't think I left anybody on like a cliffhanger, right? Everybody was kind of just like kind of wrapping up a moment or a discussion with somebody, right? Okay. So I think I just want to put everybody back in the parlor by the fire that talked earlier. And I think all of the suspects are there as well. And I think that in order to sort of like calm everyone's nerves, they're just, and also because like it's just kind of, I don't know, like when this sort of thing is done in Brindlewood Bay, I think they're basically getting like a dinner ready to serve, right? Like just a meal, you know. It's 5 o'clock, but you know, it's 7 p.m. somewhere else. And Brindlewood Bay's, you know, it's an older population, right? So it's okay to have slightly earlier dinner. But Ava is sort of supervising as usual. Phoenix is there, kind of trying to lighten the mood as much as he can. Mrs. Carfax is there. And there's also the sort of businessman, Damien Swallow, all of you, the sheriff's deputy, Brett Anderson, I think is his last name, and Laura as well. Abraham Stockton, who I think is a suspect, is not present. Percy Underwood is currently wearing the most ridiculous chef's hat and apron that you've ever seen. He looks like he's competing on MasterChef or something. So I think I just want to have that moment with all of you at the table there. And it's assumed that you've like shared all relevant information already. So let's just have that scene and then I'll kind of interject when it's time.
Wait, so Ouija boards work?
Apparently, yes, because I talked to a ghost and it was in the fireplace and it told me about these rooms. I think we gotta go look at the rooms.
Well, that. And the rooms were confirmed by Miss Carfax. Now she's trustworthy. I guess we should maybe direct our gaze there. What are your thoughts, ladies?
Well, personally, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the fact that we're all eating dinner at a place immediately after someone was poisoned.
You can't do anything on an empty stomach now, Ruth.
I suppose not.
You will hear Ava Cole will say, nothing is sure to establish a sense of security and a sense of calm like an ordered schedule. And the schedule right now is dinners to be served.
I would like to pull out like a little container from my purse of like my garden veggies and just slide them to Ruth and be like, these ones are safe, dear.
Do you have ranch in your purse
Thank
too?
you so much.
Sure. I also dig out some ranch.
Well, so as long as we're sharing, I do have a lot of blueprints in the trunk of my car for various Brindlewood Bay buildings. So if that's something that we think we might want to consult to see if we can narrow down where these hidden rooms would be, I think that's a way we could go.
I think that's a delightful idea.
Laura, what say you?
Laura looks at the others and says, well, I think I'm gonna stay right here. It's soon getting dark, and you know, when I was standing in the kitchen, I saw this weird, I don't know, but I don't want to go out there. I'm gonna stay right here, and I think I'm gonna talk to the nice Mrs. Carfax to figure out. I think she must know more than she has let on until now. She's been here all this time. She must know this place.
Sheriff Dalrymple comes in and he says, thank you, Brett. I can take it from here. And he sort of like lumbers over to your table and says, well, if it isn't the murder Mavens. Ruth?
Wyman?
You know, it's funny. It seems like 75% of the time when we have a murder in Brindlewood Bay, you ladies are always either right there when it happens or pretty close at hand. It's almost like you're doing the murders, huh?
I think we're just better at our jobs than you are, Sheriff.
Oh, Ida, your quick wit is a constant source of amusement and joy in my life. So, I gather you've started to look into this unfortunate death, and I'm really sorry, Esther, to hear about your friend, by the way.
I don't think that she'd be particularly interested in your apologies.
Well, nevertheless, I'm responsible for making sure our killer is brought to justice, and you all are not responsible for making sure her killer is brought to justice. So I have a hard time believing that you all would do something like this, and so you're free to go, and I'll
Well,
take care of this from here.
Sheriff, the only thing we're doing here is having dinner at the moment. Will you join us?
Well, I probably shouldn't. I'm on official police business now, and it's kind of funny eating food at a place where somebody was just poisoned. But okay, I'm
That's
gonna
an
go take a
interesting
look
thought I haven't
upstairs.
heard before.
He's going upstairs, and he says, "Enjoy your dinner. Please don't meddle in police business." And he leaves.
I think as he leaves, Ida makes eyes at Ruth to maybe go after him because
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'll just creep up the stairs behind him.
Fair enough.
Laura looks at the others and says, "We wouldn't, would we?"
I just take out this all cops are bad pin also from my bag and just like attach it to my blouse.
Sheriff Dalrymple might be especially bad. Yeah, good. I love it. Okay, so let's go around the table. So it sounds like Ruth, you're gonna are you sneaking up behind Sheriff Dalrymple, or are you just like walking up behind him?
I mean, I'm not like cartoonishly sneaking, but I'm not trying to,
Get his
I'm trying
attention.
to stay kind of hidden. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Laura, are you gonna go talk to Mrs. Carfax?
Yes.
Okay. Ida, what are you gonna be doing?
I know Ida wants to try to find the hidden rooms. I think the maps in question are part of Ruth's cozy place, so I think we'd want to wait to do some of that later. So I think she might go and investigate the Ouija board. I think she's very curious about that, especially after hearing about this occult history of the town right before.
That sounds good to me. And also, it's kind of like, it's not like explicit in the rules, but like anyone can use anyone's cozy little place stuff for the mechanical advantage if the person doesn't care. So just a little heads up there. Esther, what would you like to do?
Yeah, so I got my bloodhound condition, so I'm gonna keep going with these secret rooms, I guess. I have my tactical shovel. I feel like I'm like, I can find anything with my tactical shovel.
Like tapping on walls and like moving. Yeah, it's good. Like prying open crown molding and baseboards and stuff. Yeah, it's good. I ordered one of those and I don't have it yet, and I'm so mad. I think I got ripped off, but okay. Well, let's start with Ruth then. So, Ruth, Sheriff Dalrymple goes up. Interestingly, he does not go to Letitia's room. Presumably, he knows where it is, and the Coles have told him. He instead is like tapping around the floorboards. What do you do?
Man, I mean, I guess I just wait it out until I either get discovered or see what he's doing.
Let's have the night move with composure. What are you afraid will happen if Sheriff Dalrymple sees you spying on him?
I think he's gonna. I think he's just gonna send me downstairs and like, post deputy, my cousin deputy, on me to like keep an eye on me.
And I have to tell you how it's worse than that. I think it's worse than that. I think you'll see something that you're really not meant to see, and he'll see that you've seen something you're really not meant to see. If you're okay with this, go ahead and roll with composure. Let me take a look at your conditions too, see if those have any implications for the scene. Unnerved, oh yeah, and scared, oh yeah, take that at disadvantage by all means.
Okay.
Three dice, 2 lowest.
That's a 4 plus probably nothing, right? That's a 5.
We'll come back to that. Laura, what's your approach with Mrs. Carfax? Oh, I think we lost Adrian at the exact wrong moment. Okay, let's continue around then. And so Ida, what are you doing with this Ouija board? What's going on?
So I think because she's the kind of person who, when faced with something sort of unbelievable like this, she would have to try it for herself to like really believe it. Even though, she certainly trusts Esther, and like that, she would not be even touching this if she didn't trust Esther. But she sort of has to see it for herself. She has to know. So I think she would like try and ask the board a question about this place. I have a question in mind if you want that.
No, I love it. Are you doing this by yourself, or is someone like, are you like doing this just in the middle of the parlor? Are you going somewhere private? Is anybody with you?
That's a good question. Esther has done it before. So I think she might ask her for her help with it, to show her how she did it. So maybe they might go to one of the adjoining rooms for that.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's say it's like a I think there's like a little reading nook, right? Just like a little nook for like reading and things with a big bay window. Right? Roll sensitivity.
Okay. Well, that's not great. That is a 5 minus 1 is 4.
A lot of bad shit happening right now. Okay. I'm trying to know where Adrian is. I don't know what happened. But it's okay. We'll catch up Laura whenever we need to. Give me the scene first. Like, I just want to see the scene of Esther and Ida kind of doing the Ouija board. Like, what is this scene?
So they're together over in this reading nook. And I imagine there's like a maybe a comfier chair, a little table next to it that they've set up the board on. And there was already a small candle, like a little candelabra with like 2 candles in it, and they've lit both of them, providing the right mood for this experience. And I think Esther shows Ida, how to manipulate the piece on the board and make your request to the ghost, following whatever she had done previously. And I think the question that Ida lays out is just like more of a request, like, show me the darkest places here, and something along those lines. And like the candles, I imagine, sort of flicker and pulse a little bit as the response, whatever that may be, from the ghost comes in.
Do you want to add anything, Esther?
So I feel like probably it would just be like a little bit of like, no, hold on, you like this. Mrs. Carfax showed me how to do it like this, and like very specific placement on the of fingers on the little, what are those called? The little thing that moves around.
Planchette.
And Yeah, so just being very precise, because I would like to make sure that it happens again. And I feel like probably I feel like I would have this in common, and Ida's like, well, we'll just repeat exactly what I did last time, like verbatim, and then it'll work, obviously.
So, Adrian, right now, Ida and Esther are in a reading nook doing the Ouija board, and Ida got a 5 on the roll, and Ruth is sitting on a miss as well. What's your approach with Mrs. Carfax? It's just you in the parlor now with the other suspects. You're muted.
The idea is to basically sit next to her. So like, because I think until now, Laura has kind of stayed in the background. She was sitting on the sofa reading, kind of, you know, in her book, and then she went to the kitchen. So I don't think that would at least be what Laura thinks, that Ms. Koufax has not really noticed her before. And as we know, last time we saw Laura kind of take an ID card from this kind of little stash in the kitchen that Percy seems to have. And it's some sort of like kind of fake looking police ID card that he had like in some form of jacket that he would put on when there was some sort of kind of official policey business. He at least thought that that might also come in handy. So she stole this, and now she's sitting down next to Mrs. Koufax and kind of starting to talk to her and say like, I have some additional questions. The sheriff has sent me here. Well, I'm the new deputy in town, and we need to know anything else that you can tell us about this place. The sheriff told me you have been staying here for quite a while.
She says, yes, but my goodness, they are letting people join the police force at a rather advanced age these days, aren't they?
Well, I'm only new here. I've worked in different places before, of course.
Oh, interesting. Well, what are your questions? What do you want to know?
Well, mostly if you have, you know, she thinks for a moment and then, well, there was an additional thing. I'm going to ask you about it afterwards, but right now I'm actually mostly interested in whether you can tell me anything about, well, there is a guest book, right, at the entrance somewhere at the reception or so. Have you seen it?
Oh, well, I can't say I've been looking for it in particular, but I do know that Mrs. Cole couldn't find it earlier today.
Thank you. That's actually very helpful. So do you have any idea? Have you seen anyone who, or actually who makes the who gets the groceries for this place? Have you noticed anything? Have there been any deliveries lately or anything like that? Pomegranates, for example.
And at this point, Phoenix Cole, the one of the proprietors, he comes up to you and he says, I couldn't help but overhear a little bit of your conversation. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to snoop, but I handle a lot of the receipts and intake that we do. I'd be happy to help you with that.
Yes, I'm sure the sheriff will be very pleased with that. Can you please show me to where you're keeping them? And she's kind of flashing this card just very quickly and moves it away again. So doesn't really get a good look.
Let's have a composure roll. Let's do night move with composure. What are you afraid will happen if he doesn't buy this like you're a deputy story.
So, I mean, first of all, of course, I'm very talented at this. So I'm using the Maven move Remington Steel. But if it still doesn't work, then Laura is afraid that I don't think she would get embarrassed or something for this. Is kind of, she would put it off as kind of like a little joke that she's playing. But I think I think what she's afraid of is that maybe Mr. Cole is actually has actually something to do with this, and so she will follow him to that place. But if he has kind of noticed that something is wrong, then he might lead her somewhere dangerous.
I think it's probably the way it's worse is that you probably won't learn anything specifically about Mr. Cole, but I think that the Coles in general would just start to sort of react very uncomfortably with like this whole investigation, this whole thing, and especially all of your presence in it and involvement in it, and will probably like just start to like close things down and say, okay, well, things are closed for tonight. If you're not a guest, you have to go, and so forth, right? Go ahead and roll with composure, and because you have Remington Steel, you get to put that ID badge into your cozy little place, and you can mark it to get advantage, of course.
Yes. So I will do that. I will mark it, and then I'm rolling. That is an 8 on the dice. So 9.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Ruth. Sheriff Dalrymple makes sure that no one's around. He doesn't see you. And he lifts up a loose floorboard. This is in the sort of like upstairs, like it's kind of like a hallway like a sort of square hallway that connects various rooms, right? And he lifts up this floorboard. He moves a piece of furniture, lifts up the floorboard, and takes out what appears to be a large, like bread box sized metal box, right? Not unlike the box that Ida found that had the deeds in it, right? Was that a clue, by the way? The deeds thing? Did I miss that?
It was either a clue or a void clue.
Might have been a void clue. I'll take a look at it because you might have that as a clue. I'll have to go back and look. In any case, he takes out this big metal box, and I think because you got a miss, I'm going to just take over the fiction a little bit. You creep up behind him just to see what's in the box when he opens it up. What's in the box? And he pops it open, and there's a small skeleton inside, like child-sized skull, ribs, arms, kind of shuffled around to fit inside the box. And he says, he kind of breathes a sigh of relief, and he just mutters something like, "Oh, Georgie, I'm so sorry." And then closes the box up and is getting ready to put it back into the thing when he turns and sees you. What do you do?
I mean, I'm getting up in his face. I'm just like,
Okay.
What the hell?
He says, "How much of that did you see, Ruth?"
I saw all of it, Wyman. Who is Georgie? What's even going on here?
He says, listen, here, come into this room with me, talking about Letitia's room, and I'll explain everything.
Okay. I want a way to get Laura up here involved in this. I don't know the best way to do that.
Think on it.
Yeah, okay.
Ida and Esther, you're asking your questions of the spirit. The planchette is moving around. Do you both have the shadow in the garden marked?
Yep.
You both have that marked. Tell me how before the planchette even starts to move, how do you know the ghost is with you there in the room?
I think that I'm getting visions of death, like graveyards, bones, that kind of thing. Sort of like all I can see for a moment.
I think with the size of the space that Esther and Ida are in together right now, and just like the fact that in the adjoining room there's a pretty roaring fire going, I think this space started off very warm, and I think Ida starts to feel chilled down to her very bones.
At a certain point, you can tell the ghost is there with you, but it's not answering any questions. The planchette's just moving wildly on its own, even. And then eventually, Ida, you look up to see a boy, no more than 6 or 7 years old, but it's hard to tell with any precision, dressed in clothing that I would say is very out of date based off the year. Like, I would say dressed in like kind of, he looks like he kind of stepped out of like a Leave It to Beaver episode, like button down shirt, ball cap, that kind of thing. And he's just giving you this like dead-eyed stare. How does that make you feel?
I think she's probably pretty unnerved at this point. I think she's shocked that this works at all, and to receive the stare of this out of time child, which she's slowly is dawning on her that this is definitely a ghost. I think, yeah, she's taken aback. Hello, do you talk?
Take the unnerved condition for now. Esther, you see it as well. What do you do?
I just like lean closer to Ida, like real close, and I'm like, this is not what happened last time.
The little boy raises up his hands and begins to like curl his small fingers. And Ida, you feel a tightening around your throat. The breath is escaping your body, and a very strong force is tightening on your esophagus or on your neck. Esther, you're aware of it. You can tell Ida's being choked right now. Esther, what do you do?
So I guess I was hoping to use my tactical shovel in another way, but I have it handy because I was ready to use it. So I would like to I look at Ida and I look at this creepy fucking kid, and I'm just gonna like slash like through it or at it with my tactical shovel.
Nice. Okay, good. It might startle the ghost if nothing else, right? Night move, sensitivity. What's the worst thing that could happen right now? Or what are you scared of?
I'm scared of losing Ida.
I think that's a fair thing to be scared of. It's worse than that. The ghost immediately attacks you as well. So have a sensitivity roll, see how it goes.
Do I get advantage because I'm using my tactical shovel, which is from my...
If you mark it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So that's a 7.
Okay. I think it will work. You will cause the ghost to just like dissipate. I'm going to give you another condition. You're just going to have like sore neck. But go ahead and just have the scene, Esther. Like, how do you get the ghost to go away? Oh, you're muted.
In just like instinctually, I kind of like put myself between the ghost and Ida and like slash at it with my shovel, and I'm going to scream at the ghost also, leave her alone, I love her.
Nice, good. And it dissipates. And we have this moment. Percy bursts in to the room. He's currently wearing like a like the best way to describe his current uniform is like Starbucks barista, I guess, for after dinner coffee, right? He's even got like a green apron, and he's there, and he's like, I heard some yelling. What's going on? Is everybody okay?
Everything's fine. Nothing's awry. It was just and she like looks over at Esther, a declaration of love.
I'm very passionate.
Percy just kind of like gives an awkward like, okay. Says,
clearly she's having some problems. Can you just bring her like a warm drink or something, please?
I just made an espresso. So he will like go and get you a coffee. Laura. Phoenix says, I'm certainly happy to help out. Let's go back to the kitchen. We can talk about everything. I'll tell you straight away. We don't normally order pomegranates, so I'm not really sure how someone was able to get pomegranate juice unless it was a sort of prepackaged thing. I can ask Percy about that, or maybe Ava. And he's kind of just like, like kind of going on and on. And he'll kind of say, I love this necklace you're wearing. That's very lovely. Where did you get that, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, I'm not. She looks down at the necklace. Oh yes, that one. I think somewhere out west. It's local artisans, small markets, and so on. I used to go there a lot.
Ava and I go to Santa Fe every Christmas. It definitely looks like something I would have seen there.
Possibly. Are you? No, she says, are you? Well, what do you do there? Is it for vacationing or
Oh,
business or?
um, a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, I suppose. You know, we're always sort of looking for new properties to acquire. Ava's very into real estate. She absolutely fell in love with Brindlewood Bay. That Damien Swallows fellow who's staying here, he's actually an associate of Ava's. They used to work together back in New York City. He says, she's very, very focused on her work. I just sort of ride her coattails, basically. I'm pretty lucky in that way.
She seems very nice. I'm sure you're lucky. You're lucky to be with her, and if she's that active, doing so many different things, it's nice to have someone that
Well,
really brings this into your life.
She's very busy, and well, she and I have an arrangement.
I see.
We are fairly casual about, you know, introducing people into our relationship or exploring relationships beyond our own. And he's kind of flirting with you a little bit at this point, Flora. I think that's the complication, is Phoenix is flirting with you. He's going to give you a clue, though. And he says, so how long have you been doing police work?
Quite a while, but I'm just recently have been transferred here to Brindlewood Bay. You know, it's kind of my last little stop before retirement. You know.
Oh yeah. I totally get that. It's a really lovely town, filled with.
But it's nice if
lots
you.
of.
Yes, I will be around here for a while. I think even after I finished working, and seems that you will also be around. So maybe we should meet up for coffee one of these days.
I think Percy's making espresso right now, but yeah, we can definitely, we can and definitely should do that, especially once this whole murder business is sorted out, right? And I think
What is up with that? You wanted to show me some receipts?
Well, so here's the thing. I'm going to give you a clue. Give me just a moment to pull it up. I naturally don't have the thing pulled up that I need. Go grab it real fast. Also, I need to look into that one to find out if there was a clue for. I feel like there was like a clue of like land deeds or something. Or maybe I made that up. Maybe that's another thing I'm thinking of. There was something in a box. I remember there was something in a box that Ida was carrying that Ida found in the cave. Oh, hold on. This mystery is not with you. It's not part of the originals. I'll grab it. It is here. Yeah, there was a set of land deeds that Ida found in the cave that needs to be put on the clue list. And so you actually have 5 clues, and now you're about to get a 6th. So he will say, I mean, I have to say, we were a little nervous buying this place in the first place. It had a bit of a dark history, the sort of thing that they don't really tell you on Zillow, but if you go poking around, if you're doing your due diligence, and trust me, Ava always does her due diligence, it's the kind of thing you can find out. And it turns out that, well, people they always go missing here, you know? there's a history of people going missing here. And in particular, there's a history of people going missing from there was a guest bedroom when it was a farm. It's room number 3 now, but it's strange, right?
Well, it sure is if that is has really happened several times. But as far as I recall today, nobody really went missing as such. I think they just were possibly poisoned. So how are the two things connected? What do you think?
Well, I don't know, but maybe Miss Dawes, that's Letitia, maybe Miss Dawes was investigating the disappearances and someone didn't want her to find out. But,
I see.
I'm not the detective. And I think at this point is when we kind of swing back to the sheriff insisting that Ruth, he'd love to take you into a dark room and explain to you what's going on, Ruth. And Esther and Ida have just had their ghost encounter, and we're taking a 5-minute break. Sheriff Dalrymple, Ruth says, "Now just calm down, Ruth. I have an explanation for this. Let's just go in here and let's talk about it. I don't want to say it to where anyone can hear."
Okay, so I think like Ruth's best play here is like, she's already kind of yelling a little bit. So I think she's like, yeah, we should go into room number 4 because I have some questions to ask you about certain things that happened in 1967.
That's good. I want another night move. It sounds like you're trying to get Lara's attention, right?
Right.
Okay. Good. What are you scared will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
I'm scared that just nobody's gonna pay attention or hear,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be stuck up here with Sheriff Dalrymple.
I think it's worse than that. He's going to kill you, period. So
All right.
if you're okay with this, go ahead and roll with composure.
Let me see if this is a plausible place to MacGyver or something.
I mean, you might have to, because I think I'm going to put you at disadvantage again. So
okay, so I'm going to try to MacGyver something to get Lara's attention.
Is that your move? Do you have that move?
I do, yeah. I took
okay.
it with my advance.
Oh, nice. Okay, so let's read the move. Angus MacGyver. When you improvise in a situation using whatever is at hand, ask the other players and keeper to name 3 objects you find in the environment, so long as you can give a plausible explanation for how one or more of them is helpful, you have an advantage on the roll. So you all can speak, whatever you think.
Well, you've got a box with a dead kid in it.
I would love to see how you improvise with that. I'm going to say the light switch for this floor is nearby.
And I think I'm going to add, there's the loose floorboards that were pulled up to access that box that might be of use to you.
Okay, so.
And you can add something too, Adrian, if you want.
Yeah, so there are some bed sheets in the room.
Or maybe like outside the room, like in a chair or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think, Ruth? MacGyver away. You don't have to use all these things, but you have to use at least one.
Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna do like the floorboard because it seems the most subtle, and like as I'm walking over the floorboard, I'm gonna like tap out SOS on it and make it like clap SOS.
Wow. Okay. So you're like doing that the whole time, maybe? Like you're like kind of like SOSing. Like,
yeah, as we're talking,
someone hears it.
Right, because like
Laura,
theoretically, you should be able to hear
Laura.
that on the lower floor pretty well. So.
Yeah. Good. I love it. It's very, very it's very camp, but I'm here for it. Let's okay, so I think that'll level out the disadvantage. So you're just rolling regular. Go ahead.
All right. That is still not great, That's 4.
Sheriff Dalrymple. He says, Ruth, you should know that I was a Boy Scout when I was young. I was in the military as a young man. And I participate in an annual convention for people who are really into codes. And you should know that I know when someone is tapping out SOS, Ruth. And he says, now we're going to go into this room and I'm going to explain everything to you. And he pushes you into the room, and in a bit of an echo of the previous scene, he wraps his hands around your neck and he squeezes. You can feel your esophagus being crushed. You can feel the air escaping. And as the life leaves your body, he says, Ruth, there are secrets in this town that have to be protected at any cost. I assume you're marking a crown.
Yeah, I think so.
Good. To avoid this, by all means.
Okay, I'm just gonna do one of the Crown of the Queens.
Okay, go ahead and mark it. Instead, it's 7 to 9, and Laura is going to hear. She's going to come upstairs. I think the complication is just going to be that. I think the complication is going to be that basically the sheriff's not going to give you anything. Like once he realizes Laura's up there, he's just going to go. He's just not going to tell you anything. He's just going to leave and hope that like you keep your mouth shut, right? But we'll come back to that.
Okay, wait, but so what happened to this box with the dead kid in it?
I think he just put it back and put the
Okay.
floorboard back on it. Yeah. He was just like done, you know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So Esther and Ida, what's going on after your ghost attack here, and after Percy checks in on you?
What do you think, Alicia? I'm thinking about it.
So I'm of two minds. First, I feel like my number one priority is making sure that Ida is okay, because that was very concerning. Also, I'm a little upset because the first ghost was like weird, but not murderous. And so now I feel like I'm way in over my head in this ghost business. But I feel I'm still, that bloodhound thing still got me like, gotta go find those secret rooms. So make sure Ida's okay, and then being like, should we go look for the rooms now?
Yeah, I think maybe Esther like puts her arm around Ida's shoulder, checks with her that she's doing okay, and Ida, I'm all right. It'll take more than that. But then when you talk about going to investigate the rooms, I think Ida is 100% on board with that. I think at this point she's like, well, like I've already been attacked by a ghost. Like something worse can't happen, right? Like we got to find out what's going on here. Clearly something is. And so that same sort of investigative streak, I think, is rubbing off on her here too. So I think, yeah, she wants to go look for the rooms.
I love it. Let's just pick up with that. I mean, what's your initial approach here? Because you don't have anything to go off of so far.
Yeah, I think if you mentioned earlier that we might be able to use the item from someone else's cozy place, if Ruth would be okay with us checking out her maps, then I feel like that's the best way for us to move forward with trying to find the rooms.
That's fine with me if we can do it mechanically.
Yeah. You can use it regardless, but Dan just has to say you can mark it to get the die roll bonus. So, yeah.
Yep, that works.
Okay. Then I would say that Ida and Esther bop out real quick to go and grab the map. Do we bring it inside, or do you think we look at it outside?
I feel like maybe we look at it outside and then like leave it there. I'm a little feel like Esther's nervous now about like what's going on inside. And also she doesn't like the sheriff, and what if he takes the maps? Because he definitely will, because all cops are bad. Tap that button there.
So I think you have the blueprint, and you go through the blueprints, and you do find a blueprint for Stockton Farm, right? Which is what this was before the farmhouse, but what it was before it was a B&B. I think we'll just have this be meddling move for now. Who wants to be whoever has the highest reason can do the die roll. So
Mine's 0, so probably not me.
Ida has a 2 in reason.
Yeah, Ida has a 2, so why don't you go ahead and do it, Ida. And I don't know. I just think after this ghost thing, I just think unnerved would be really in play here. So you can, if you mark the blueprints, it'll just be a flat roll with reason.
Is that okay with you? Okay. All right, then I will roll 2 die. Hopefully better. Oh, that is much better. That is a 4 and a 4. That's 8 plus 2 is 10.
Nice, good. Let me take a look at my clue list. This is something you would learn either from the blueprints or just something happens in the scene, but let's see. You find the location of where the secret rooms are in the house. It actually is in the blueprint. There is essentially, it's basically, if you go back to that little reading nook, and behind the fireplace, it like turns kind of like a like in the movie Clue, and that behind there's another space. It's like the room is like cut in half, basically, right? So you know where the room is. That's not actually the clue, though. While you're checking out the blueprint, Deputy Anderson comes up to you. He's kind of looming over you because you're both, older women, and he's this big buff dude, right? And he's like, "So, what's going on here?"
Oh, lovely to see you as always, Deputy. Nothing in particular. We were just getting a little bit of fresh air, stimulating the mind a bit, maybe getting those juices flowing after our lovely dinner.
Ida's teaching me how to read technical documents. She's very, very smart, you see.
Yes, that's interesting. Just wanted to come check on you. I mean, it's getting dark out, and murder. Just make sure everybody's okay, and make sure you don't need anything. If you need someone to, escort you back to your homes, I'm happy to do that. I that's something I'm very good at, going back to people's homes with them to make sure they get home safely. That's in my skill set. And he kind of like gets a little like sort of he gets this like call and on his cell phone, and he takes it and he's like, "Oh, could you just give me a moment?" And he says, "I thought I told you to never call me at this number. Just look. Look, I didn't expect to be caught up in a murder investigation today. Okay, I'll go tomorrow. Meet me at the normal drop-off point. I'll pick up the stuff. It'll be great. Don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry about it." And then he like hangs up. The clue is Deputy Anderson is involved in some kind of criminal activity. It would seem, maybe drugs, maybe something else, but there's something going on there. Laura. Phoenix says, "We should definitely have that coffee. I'm going to hold you to that."
Please. And that's all right with you, I'm gonna continue my work now. I have to talk to a number of other people here before I can write up my report for the sheriff.
It's like, of course, of course. Let me know if you need anything at all.
Sure. And if you ever hear anything else about these pomegranates, let me know.
Yeah. He says, the only thing I know about pomegranates is the old myth of Hades and Persephone.
I see.
She
Well,
went down to the underworld. She ate the pomegranate. That kept her there. She can't leave.
yeah, it seems that you're quite the storyteller. I hope that what happened here today was a bit more mundane.
He says, well, I'm nowhere near the storyteller as a friend of mine in town. If you really like to hear some stories, you need to talk to him someday.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, maybe you will. He says, okay, well, good luck with the investigation. I hope we're able to resolve this matter fairly soon. And he leaves you in the kitchen. What do you do?
I think I put this ID card back where I found it into Percy's jacket. And then she thinks to herself like, well, but someone must have bought these. There, and I think she's going to look again through all of the stuff that Percy has collected there to see whether there's anything that is connected with him that might be interesting.
I think you're probably going to run into a dead end with Percy at this point. I think the main thing to know about him at this point is that he has a bus ticket out of town. that's kind of it. Also, he's going to be going back and forth with like coffee and stuff, so it might just be kind of tricky to do. You'll notice.
Okay, so I think then, yeah.
Well,
sorry.
you'll notice outside the window, you'll see two glowing red eyes outside the window, staring into the kitchen. What do you do?
I think so Laura is kind of going through these things, through the jackets and whatever is, and then she looks out of the window to see this. And I think the moment she sees it, she kind of grabs her she has this empty tin where she used to keep the joint in that she smoked before, and she throws it at the eyes, trying to hit it exactly.
The little tin bounces off ineffectually against this large black dog that just trots off into the foliage. What do you do then?
I think Laura goes and closes the window, some blinders, and
as you're getting ready to close the window, you hear a on the glass, someone knocking on the glass. It's Etienne Beauregard, the fishmonger. He's standing outside the kitchen. He says, "Hey, I thought I saw you when I walked by. Just wanted to confirm it was you. How are you doing?"
all right. Did you just see a big black dog run away?
Oh,
Was that just me?
no dog. And he kind of comes to like come into the kitchen. He kind of comes into the back. He's like, no dog. But I have some fish that the Coles ordered, and I didn't get a chance to bring it by earlier because of all
I
the.
was just about to ask what you're doing here, but that makes sense, of course.
Of course.
Well, I think the freezer's over there.
Yes. Hopefully there are no bodies in it. And he goes and puts the fish in the freezer. So what are you doing here right now? He says as he's putting the fish away.
We were invited for some tea, and then something happened, and now I think my friend Esther, her friend, the journalist, something happened.
Yes, Miss Dawes.
Exactly.
Word's already kind of getting around. He comes out of the freezer. Sad, really. Shame.
It is.
But it does make you wonder what we talked about a few weeks ago after Albert and Allison's murder, that maybe there's a connection, right?
Well, I hope not.
Well, I better get going. And he says, it was good to see you again, Laura.
Yes. See you around, Etienne.
Indeed. He says, is Phoenix around, by the way? I was going to say hi while I was here.
He just left to the common room, I think.
I'm just going to pop in and say hi. It was good to see you again.
Yeah,
and he leaves.
I think Laura kind of looks after him, and then she goes back to the window, and then she now really closes it and
Indeed.
stands there a bit and kind of wonders if she's the only one that has seen the dog.
Ruth, Laura comes up and she sees the two of you like kind of going into room 4, and she says, is everything okay here, Ruth?
Oh, Laura, yeah. So I'm glad you're here. I was just about to ask the sheriff about, the story you were telling me about 1967, and we're going to get some background on all of that. So, I'm sure
says,
he wouldn't mind if you sat in.
Unfortunately, I have an active murder investigation. I don't really have time, ladies. Maybe you could come down to the office at some point, ma'am, and then I can give you the story. For now, I need to go upturn some stones and see what crawls out from under them. And certain stones are going to remain in place. Isn't that right, Ruth?
Sure.
Unturned.
Sure.
And he goes down the stairs, looking back at you, both of you. Laura says, that was weird.
Yeah, it turns out I think he's awful. I think you may have been right.
Well, I mean, it's a thing. I mean, it's those of us in this sort of like true crime community, we've heard stories about Brindlewood Bay, like I told you.
Well, so I don't think I can do anything about this, but if you want to get a few friends and move that couch and lift up the floorboard and look underneath, you might find something for your show.
And at this point, Ava Cole comes up and she says, there won't be any moving of furniture tonight or anytime in the near future. It is time we start getting things back to order around here. I think the police have everything well in hand. It's tragic what happened to your friend's friend. I'm very sorry about it, but I have to insist that if people who are not staying currently, it's time to go. I think it's best for everybody if they just go.
Could Ida and Esther return at this time into
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could be coming back. Yeah, you could be like you can overhear this if you want. Yeah.
Because I imagine Ida would be piping up. Well, I would like to reserve a room, actually.
We're currently full, so.
Well, you were full, but there's at least one room I can think of that's free now.
Yes, that's true. Unfortunately, the guest book is missing, and well, I just and there's a whole like cleanup that has to happen. I think by law I'm not allowed to rent out rooms where a person who was staying there was recently murdered. Pretty sure that's.
But she wasn't murdered in the room. She was murdered.
That's correct. She was not murdered in the room. She was murdered in the parlor in front of all of our guests when we were serving the best high tea in all of Brindlewood Bay. That's going to look great on our Yelp reviews.
Well, I'll leave you a wonderful review about your room. Of course, assuming that the sheets are nice and all that. If we could maybe stay the night, I'm so weary from the day, and I would just like to get a good night's sleep. Maybe with some of my gal pals.
You would all like to stay in Ms. Dawes' room?
Well, she was my friend, and I can help with the cleanup that way. I know her so well. I can tidy up her things for you.
This is all entirely too ghoulish, but certainly, sure, why not? And she says, "Will that be cash or credit?"
Ida reaches into her wallet and whips out a credit card.
Indeed. She says, "My husband will take care of that for you. I'm going to go straighten something." And then she leaves. Well, so you all have a room now at Snowdrop House. That's great. You have 6 clues. So that's unless I missed one. Is there another clue? Oh, the cop is up to something shady. Deputy Anderson's doing some kind of shady deal. 7 clues. You're at a flat roll if you work them all in at this point. So it might be helpful to get a couple more. So what's everyone doing? What's happening right now? Let's just go
So
around
can I
the table.
request a cozy move?
If you can work in your cozy activity, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think I want to take somebody out to just listen to the owls.
Okay. Nice. Whoever needs to clear a condition, by all means.
So who else has conditions?
I have conditions that I need to clear because I'm getting dangerously up the crown of the void track.
Okay, well, I'm happy to go with Esther and go do some owl.
Let's have that scene. Yeah, let's do it. So frame up the scene. What's going on?
So I think we're out on the veranda, right? And we're sort of sipping some coffee and just listening to the birds. And I'm like, oh, you hear that screech owl out in the distance, and oh, that over there, that's a barred owl. And
I want to take a moment before we go too far to say that don't forget Shadow in the Garden. We have to have something creepy.
Yeah.
And don't forget the Pallid Mask. This is a great opportunity to talk about death and dying.
Yeah, I was actually just about to be like, so I'm listening really intently, and then it's really peaceful, and out of the blue, I'm just like, don't you think it sounds like they're screaming as if they're dying horrifically?
I've never thought of it that way. But I guess I could see it. An interesting take, Esther.
It's beautiful in a way. I just like a sip.
Well, I'll agree with that. It is beautiful. And I think we hear like a whippoorwill like real close by, and it's like, oh, and that's a whippoorwill. It's very rare this time of year. And we can go over to the railing and kind of like peering out to look at it. And it's like on a fence. And then as we're watching it, this giant snake just comes up and like slithers up the fence and just grabs it and yanks it back into the bushes, like mid-song. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before. That's very strange for, yeah, just how strange. Anyway, Screech Owl. There's that Screech Owl again.
Which conditions are being cleared right now?
I feel like I'm taking off unnerved. It's giving me a little bit of time to relax. I'm still scared.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was gonna clear unnerved as well. Nothing soothes me like the screaming death sounds of Owl.
And a snake like eating a bird randomly. Good. I love it. You get to find a clue as well. Stumble on a clue if you wish, Ruth.
Oh, okay.
You have to define it.
Yeah, so I think that we see. I think we see Percy Underwood like coming in. As we're coming in, we see Percy coming in, and he's like very dirty, like he's been messing with something in the dirt.
Nice, good. I'll write that down. Awesome. Ida, do you have a scene you'd like to do?
Well, while Ruth and Esther are off having a cozy time outside, relaxing a little bit, I can't think of a way to work in mine. Now, Laura, I guess if you wanted to, if I recall correctly, your cozy activity, no, it's collecting stamps. I thought it might have been yoga related. Then I don't know. Do you think Laura would be interested in going and checking out the false room behind the fireplace here in the middle of the night in this definitely haunted house?
Yes. So let's say it's a few hours later. So we wait until everyone's kind of has gone to sleep, right? And yeah, and I think then we meet up.
You get to the little reading nook where behind the false fireplace or behind the fireplace is this other room, the other half of the room. You get there and you hear someone talking from the other side in the secret room. Laura, you'll recognize the voice as Etienne Beauregard's. He says, well, we're getting close, of course. Everything's nearly in place. And soon enough, we shall be able to call forth the child. I feel very confident that the stars are nearly right.
I think that Laura wants to move us, kind of open this a little bit so that she can actually go. You can actually go inside and at least look a little bit. She wants to know who else is there. Like she doesn't want to be seen, but she wants to know who else is there.
Oh boy. I think it's a night move first before you can do meddling move.
Okay.
And what are you afraid what are you scared of happening if you fail? Or lose your nerve?
Sure. I think that because she hasn't been operating this weird door or so, I think that she's afraid that it will kind of move around and then she will be put into the room or something.
Yeah. It's worse than that. You will be put into the room or something. You'll be separated from Ida. And Ida will get to hear your death throes from the other side. of the fireplace. Let's have a roll with composure for now. And let me take a look at your conditions because you might have something relevant. Yes, the black dog, I think, is going to make this harder roll.
So Laura kind of startles because she thinks back to this black dog.
The arrival of Etienne at the time of the black dog, I think, is the key thing there.
Yes. Okay, I mean, that makes it more likely. Okay, that is, you said composure. That's still, oh wait, let's see, sorry, that's with disadvantage, right? So I need to roll another one. Okay, that's still a 7.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think
Yeah.
you will be able to, you'll be able to peek inside, you'll be able to see who they're talking to. The complication is basically going to be, well, I'll work that into the scene. But you push on the fireplace and it turns ever so slightly, and you're able to peer into the room. What are you doing in the meantime, Ida?
I think Ida is probably standing next to Laura watching her do this, and she also overheard the voices, but I think she's looking around to make sure no one finds them while they do this.
Yeah. Laura, you'll see that Etienne is sitting in a chair, a wingback chair, across from Phoenix Cole, who's sitting in the same chair, another chair. They're enjoying a drink. And Phoenix says something like, well, I certainly didn't expect a reporter from out of town to end up dead in my hotel today. Is that going to complicate things? And Etienne says, no, people end up dead in Brindlewood Bay all the time. That's why it's an ideal spot to bring forth a child. It's unfortunate about Ms. Dawes, but it has nothing to do with us. And you will notice that in this room, there's a large painting that kind of looms over them. It's a painting of the Deep Reaver, the legendary whaler. It's like in chaotic waters, right? And there are spiked tentacles rising up out of the water. It's clashing with some large kraken-like being. And I think that's it for that scene. Ida, you'll hear Percy coming. He says, is somebody there in the reading nook? I'm just getting ready to go home. If you need something, I can bring you anything you need before I go.
I think Ida steps out of the nook. I think she closes the distance between them quickly so that if she says something, she won't get overheard in the adjoining room. And she says to him, oh yes, I just came down to, when I was in here earlier, I left, she like pulls out like a little notebook or something. I left my notebook at the reading nook, so I went to go fetch it. I was actually feeling a little bit thirsty. If you would accompany me to the kitchen, I would love a warm glass of milk or something to put me to sleep.
Oh, yes, of course. By all means. And I'll go get you something. As you're going into the nook or going into the kitchen, you see Mrs. Carfax coming downstairs, heading towards the nook.
Mrs. Carfax, our game earlier was lovely together. Would you be interested in joining me now for a warm glass of milk and perhaps a story or something?
She says, oh, No, dear. I have to go. I have to go tend to some business. But maybe tomorrow.
Oh well, and I think she like raises her voice. Business at this hour of the night? You do far too much, dear Miss Carfax. And she tries to give
Laura,
more...
Laura, you overhear this going on, right? Like Mrs. Carfax heading your way. What do you do?
So I think Laura is actually, I mean, she's quite shocked to see Percy there. Like that, she's startled because of this.
Or
and
you mean
she
Phoenix?
Phoenix, sorry, yes, Phoenix, and she hears this exchange between Ida and Miss Carfax, but she wants to hear just a little bit more what they're talking about. She just wants to hear a little bit more, something that tells her more about what the hell is going on there.
You'll overhear Etienne say, "Where is Angelica? Isn't she supposed to be here right now?" And Phoenix says, "Oh, cut us some slack, Etienne. She is very old. And now they're just waiting."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I saw that.
I think I'm going to cut away
painting,
to,
but yeah.
sorry, I'm going to cut to Esther and Ruth at this point. House is fairly lively. You're kind of sitting on the front porch and you kind of see, you can kind of look in the window and see some, like activity. You saw Mrs. Carfax go down a minute ago. What are you all doing now?
So, I think that Esther wants to sort of take a moment and say, Ruth, I think you might be my best friend.
Oh,
well, I think that the feeling's mutual.
Did you know that Miguel was the only man I ever slept with?
No, I don't think we've ever had a discussion that went quite in this direction before.
Wonder why that is. We should talk more about these things.
We should. On that note, I think the sheriff is every bit as awful as you told me he was.
That makes me genuinely sad for you.
Yeah, I was sad too. And then when I found him holding a box with baby bones in it, I stopped being sad and started being a lot more worried about the situation in general.
Literal spit take.
So I'll fill Esther in on all of the baby bone situation and all of the sheriff's backstory.
That is truly horrifying.
Yes, I thought he was, I thought he was just misunderstood, that, he was a kind-hearted man underneath all of his gruff exterior, but I think he's a monster, Esther.
I've joked before that we should push him down the stairs, but maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm concerned to even get too close to him at all. I don't want anything to do with him at this point.
Do you know where he is right now?
No, I don't know. He left and, essentially threatened me on his way out, but I don't know where he's been since. I'm not eager to find him.
Maybe we should go check on Ida and Laura. I mean, I would hate for him to stumble upon them while he's so worked up.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
I'm going to cut over to Ida. Ida, Percy is filthy. He says, and he's like, as he's getting your milk, he's like, "You'll have to excuse my appearance right now. I was just doing a little bit of late night gardening for the Coles."
Late night gardening? Is that is that some kind of activity that people do?
Well, I just try to be helpful wherever I can. Here we go. Warm milk. And Mrs. Carfax, hello.
Oh, thank you so much for this, Percy. Before you go for the evening, while I have you here, I did want to know, you of course were serving us when that horrible event happened earlier today. Do you know what could have happened with that glass of pomegranate juice? Is there anyone who you know had access or opportunity there?
He says, well, I assure you I didn't do it. I don't even own a butler's uniform.
Somehow I doubt that.
He's like, you're right. I totally do. Do a meddling move with presence to see if you can get him to open up.
All right. My presence is not wonderful. But is there anything I can use? I don't think so. All right.
I think we're okay on conditions here because Percy's not that threatening of a person. He's a
that is a 7 plus my presence, which is 0. So it's a 7.
We'll come back to that. The complication is just going to be that Mrs. Carfax excuses herself and she's headed towards the reading nook, right? Laura, you see Mrs. Carfax coming. What do you do?
I think that Laura will try to kind of hide there in the shadows to overhear how they greet her and what they tell her.
That's a night move as well, just for the hiding. Where are you going to hide?
So I wonder, is there any, like the reading nook itself is probably too small, so when she goes through there, there's no place to stay.
We could stay really on genre and say there's big heavy curtains.
Okay, yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you want.
Yes,
that might
makes
be the main
sense.
thing.
Yes. Yeah, that makes most sense.
Give me a composure roll. Give me a composure roll. I don't need. You can take it at regular dice. What are you afraid will happen if you lose your nerve?
Well, I think that basically the 3 of them or one of them, because I won't see them because I'm only I'm hiding so that I can hear them, but I cannot see them anymore. So someone is going to notice me and is going to horribly injure or kill me, and I'm not even going to know who it was.
It's worse than that. It's the black dog who's watching you from the window right now. Your back is turned to it. Go ahead, roll with composure.
All right. That's another 7. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think Laura hides, tries to really hide there as quickly as possible behind the curtains because she just really wants to know what they will be talking about once Ms. Koufax arrives there.
We'll come back to that. Let's go back to Ruth and Esther.
Conveniently, I think we just decided what we wanted to do. So after hearing this monstrous story about Sheriff Wyman and the horrible box with child's bones, I suggest to Ruth that perhaps we should go and acquire the box now that it is nighttime and hopefully less people will be around.
And Ruth will reluctantly agree. I think she's weirded out by this whole situation, but if Esther's taking the lead on it, she's not gonna say no.
yeah, so we want to head up and see if we can get that box of bones.
I love it. Let's take a quick break. We'll take like 3, then we'll come back. Esther and Ruth, when you get upstairs to the sort of like common hallway that connects up the rooms, you'll see Damien Swallows, the businessman, on his phone. He's walking around up there and he says, "Oh yeah, I mean, look, this place is just dying for some capital. Trust me. Like this place I'm staying in right now, it used to be a farmhouse. Can you imagine a farmhouse? There's probably 100 places like this in town. Like looking around, like you could gut this thing, hang up some string lights, do like wine and cheese tasting, charge, $50, $75 a head. I mean, the possibilities are endless, It is just waiting for development. I mean, the wood floors, these wood floors, you don't see wood like this anymore. This is probably reclaimed from some ship or some shit. And he like begins like tapping his foot on the wood floors, and he gets to that loose one. He's tapping around. He's like, "Oh, hold on, we got a little bit of." He's kind of like tapping around, and he's beginning to like fiddle with the loose floorboard. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Hold on a second. There's like a loose floorboard here. I mean, we could tear out all the old wood. People, it's fine." And he's about to like kick open that loose panel and find that box. Ruth, what do you do?
I mean, I don't hate this. Like,
Esther, what do you do?
I want that evidence for myself. I'm going to trip on purpose and cause a distraction, I guess.
Okay, good. I like it. Just to get him to like come help you so that Ruth can go. Okay, I like it. Night move with vitality. Don't get to use that very often. And what are you afraid of happening should this go poorly?
I'm afraid that I will accidentally actually like knock the loose floorboard and reveal what's in there.
Oh yeah, and it's worse than that because he's gonna see it and he's gonna have an idea for some kind of like ghost hunter program from he could like sell the rights to or whatever. He's gonna be like, yeah. Have a vitality. Roll it up, see how it goes.
That is an 8.
You're gonna be fine. It's gonna work. I'm just gonna give you like a condition of like just like a bruised knee or something as you sort of like go down a little hard, but otherwise you're okay. Give me the scene though, Esther. Like, what does this look like?
So I see that toe go in, and I look at Ruth, and I can see that she's hesitating a little bit, but eyes on the prize, and so I kind of look at her, and I just like, whoa, like flow. Just it's not even very subtle. I feel like it's really obvious.
I'm falling.
And so then I'm just kind of like rolling on the ground like a helpless turtle, I guess. And like looking at Ruth, and then like looking at the floorboard, and looking at Ruth, and looking at the floorboard.
And Damien will come help you, right?
Yeah.
He's like, if you need a personal injury attorney, I know a guy. Okay.
So I will absolutely just roll with that and be like, "Oh, can you tell me his name? Where is he from? Like anything to get him like talking."
Yeah. So Ruth, you can go grab the bones. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I think it's just like she kind of bumps the couch out of the way a little bit and like lifts the thing and grabs the bones out Like slides the floorboard back on, and like kind of walks past Esther and like gives her a big wink.
He's like, you should definitely sue them. I mean, I've seen so many tripping hazards around here. I mean, I get it. It's like historical or whatever, but they weren't thinking about things like that back in olden times. They weren't thinking about liability or attractive nuisance. So, and he's like, he's helping you up and all that stuff. He gives you a card, or a phone number. It's like,
We should probably go down to the kitchen and get you some ice.
Oh, that's a really great idea, Ruth. You look out for me. Thank you.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for your help, Damien, but I got it from here.
He's like, yeah, okay, sure. He goes back to his phone call. Yeah, sorry. Like it was some little old lady fell. Oh yeah, it was totally like, I've fallen and I can't get up. I wonder if she pressed her button. He's laughing, right? Okay, so yeah. Ida, let's pick up with you. Do I owe you a clue right now, Ida?
Yes, I had a 7. The complication was that Miss Carfax
Miss
left.
Carfax got away, yeah. Yeah. Remind me what your approach was with him. It was just being friendly, right?
Yeah, I was being friendly, and then I made a sort of pointed series of questions around, who may have had a chance of interacting with the victim shortly before, or with the pomegranate juice, like where that might have come from.
Yeah. He says, well, it's funny. She asked for pomegranate juice, and I didn't think we actually had it, but I went back to look anyway, and there was in the refrigerator a bottle of pomegranate juice, and so I just thought it was dumb luck. I think maybe someone knew she liked pomegranate juice and knew she'd order that, and maybe they put it there on purpose to murder her.
I like the way that you think, Percy. You have the top level thoughts here. Can we take a closer look at that refrigerator?
Yeah, of course. Sure. And he takes you to the back, and he opens up the refrigerator. And here's the actual clue. That wasn't even a clue. He opens up the refrigerator, and you see inside the refrigerator. Let me think how I want to frame this. He says, "Oh, would you look at that?" And he goes down and he says, "It's he pulls out this like teardrop shaped earring. This is Mrs. Cole's earring. She hasn't been able to find that for the last couple days. I wonder how it got in the refrigerator." That's your clue.
Well, I'll see her in the morning when we check out. I can return that to her if that's all right with you.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Laura, Mrs. Carfax walks right up to the curtains, and she parts them slightly so she can look out the window. She doesn't see you. And she says, "Oh, hello. I thought I saw you earlier, skulking about. And there you are again. What are you doing? What's got your hackles up?" And she kind of like even cracks open the window a little bit. And you can hear behind you, Laura, the dog breathing. And Mrs. Carfax says, "It's been a while since you've been by. What's got your attention, I wonder?" She says, "Come to the window by my room later tonight, and I'll give you a treat." You just hear the heavy breathing. "Don't be so anxious. It's almost time. We're almost there." And then she closes the window again and goes back to. You see her go over to the fireplace. She takes a look around to make sure no one's looking. And then she spins it and goes inside. What do you do, Laura?
I think Laura kind of moves away from the window, but still closer to, because now I think she has been so, like, all of this is so freaky.
How are you feeling right now?
I think she's very unnerved with the dog outside and kind of, but something is going on here, and now she's so involved with it, and also Phoenix is there and so on, and she really wants to hear what they are discussing. So she kind of still tries to listen to it.
Take an unnerved condition and give me a meddling move at disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Been trying to think how I can incorporate a cell phone number of a B-list celebrity here, but all the things I came up with don't really fit this kind of particular situation. So let's see. Okay, that is a well, in any case, it is a 6, but I think I want to mark a crown. So because the reason that she's so interested in this is because there was kind of 2 or 3 hours that we jumped, right, before they went to the to look at that fireplace and to the secret room. And so we see the scene where Laura is wearing a bathrobe and she's wearing that necklace, and it's not quite clear how much more she is wearing. And she knocks on a door, and the door opens, and Phoenix Cole opens the door, and she goes inside. That must have been 2 or 3 hours earlier.
Yeah, good. I love it. Good. That's your crown that you marked?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Showing how you satisfy your physical desires. You get a clue here. For now, though, you hear them speaking some pleasantries in the beginning. And then they say, "Mother Persephone, hear us. You, the queen of the dark places, the queen of the void, know that we are close. Know that we are ready to bring forth life from your terrible womb. The time is nigh." And while you're there listening, you'll notice a strange thing on the mantle. On the mantle, behind a clock, is a mortar and pestle, like for grinding up herbs. What a strange place to put such a thing. Ruth and Esther, where do we find you right now?
I think we're just looking for someplace private to open this box. Let's see what we got. Should we just go back to the room?
I think that seems like a safe bet. We know, at least to this point, that it's been safe, and the rest of this house is decidedly not safe.
I mean, I was almost murdered in this room, but I mean, it's as good as anywhere else.
Awesome. Okay, so you open up the box, and yeah, it's just bones. I mean, it's like a collection of bones of a child, not a baby, but like a kid. What do you do?
So it's bones.
Okay, so Ida and we were downstairs, and she wanted me to show her how to use the Ouija board, and it was really nice, and I was helping her, and then our fingers touched. Anyway, that's not relevant. So we used the Ouija board, just like Mrs. Carfax showed me, and then like a weird, creepy child appeared. Like a child that is maybe the same age as these bones. I don't know anything about children. I didn't have any, but maybe the dead child that attacked Ida is this child.
Maybe we should ask the Ouija board.
That's a great idea. That's gone so well for us. Let's do it.
I love it. Laura, I think when you go to like open the door, it's one of those scenes where Laura falls in. She like falls into the room. She's like, "Oh," with her mic. Sorry, I was just going across the hall to do some podcasting. I couldn't overhear something about bones.
Well, yes,
I couldn't help but
dear.
hear.
Come in. I'll fill you in on everything.
After you fill her in, she's like, "So are we doing this? Are we gonna like summon the ghost of this child?
Well,
Do you think that has something to do with Miss Dawes' murder?"
I've discovered in my life that a lot of times things that seem strange and unconnected are often, the key to solving mysteries like this. So when a clue presents itself, you follow it.
That's so good. Can we that sounds like it's a great quote. Would you like say that again, but in a voice that's more weathered and authoritative, like you've really seen some shit?
I 100% do that.
Very good.
I'm going to be the star of this podcast.
Absolutely. Ida, what do you do after you get your hands on the earring? I also point out at this point, you all have a fair number of clues now. You can probably start heading towards at least figuring out the murder of Letitia Dawes, if none of the other weird mysteries.
Yeah, I think Ida, after getting that earring, I think she might cast a glance towards where Laura was over by the nook, by the reading nook. Does she still see her there?
Probably.
I think she would run over to you and like just tug on your sleeve to follow her as she headed upstairs back to the room.
Yeah, I think Laura's seen enough.
Well, So sounds like Ida and Laura are coming up to where you all are at, where Laura is as well, Laura Sanchez, and a Ouija board. And Laura says, "Oh, this is a lot of people in this one room. I only have the one mic. Maybe we could like here. Let me set this up a little bit. And I also need you ladies to sign a waiver and an NDA if that's okay. Just kind of getting all that stuff out. This is going to be a great story. I've already got like an idea for what to call this series, but I don't want to spoil it."
Ida signs, but with a fake name.
It's the bones of Brindlewood Bay. Isn't that great? And she's getting it all set up. Meanwhile, you all have a lot of clues. Whether you do the Ouija board or not, whether it actually comes to that, you are currently at. We're going to add in the last clue about the mortar and pestle on the mantle, but otherwise that puts you at 10 clues, which is like 3 more than the complexity. Do you want to go ahead and do a last final summoning here to see what might happen?
I mean, I really like the idea of all of us being involved in a seance.
Let's do it. Whose idea was it? It was your idea, Ruth. Why don't you do it?
All right.
I think this is going to be it's the occult, this particular occult move, obviously. It's with sensitivity. Just roll it up. Let's see how it goes.
So once everybody gets there, I think I'm like, this reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt.
Oh, very good. I love it. Yay. That's so good. Okay, let's go to that move then beforehand. And yeah, you have to tell us the name of the Gold Crown mystery in question, the problem or situation Amanda found herself in, and how she eventually overcame the problem. Everybody can give answers if they want.
So it's Amanda Delacourt and the spirit of something. Amanda Delacourt and the spirit of the century.
Very good. And what was the problem that Amanda was having?
Man, so I mean, how close is this supposed to mirror what we're doing? Like, I mean, we have a very clear problem defined of trying to, summon a spirit.
It's whatever you think. I mean, it's not like,
Maybe she was trying to solve the murder of a child, sort of tangentially related.
Okay. And how did she go about it? Did she pull out a Ouija board? Is that what she did?
Maybe she specifically, in addition to a Ouija board, did a particular sort of like summoning circle out of like candle wax and like well-placed candles and items. I think the fact that we have these bones, we could use those artifacts like around the circle to be precise in our summoning.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, she could also have just found something on the bones that's like when we're setting up this super complicated summoning ritual, and it's like, oh, look at this like this knife that's been plunged through the skull.
I think it could be both, right? I mean, like you could be setting up the ritual and then you like see the well, in any case, let's go with a sort of enhanced ritual and see where that takes us in terms of the die roll, and then we'll kind of maybe learn more about the actual murder of the boy. Loving all that. Let's roll with sensitivity. Because you have brave face, I'm not going to make you roll a disadvantage. So go ahead and just roll regular.
So can I just take a 12 plus for the...
Oh, that's right. You don't have to roll. Yeah, you can
crown?
take a 12
Yeah.
plus. Absolutely. I love it. 12 plus on the meddling move gives you a clue plus a void clue.
Is this a 12 plus on meddling or occult?
Oh, that's right. It's 12 plus on this occult
right.
move, isn't it? Oh, thanks. Yeah. Okay. Well, still. Give us a scene. I mean, set up the scene here, Dan. Like, what does this look like? What's going on?
Yeah, so I think it's like very cinematic, right? Like we've got this like circle drawn and all of us are inside of it, and like we're sitting there at a small like little like end table or whatever was in the room, right? That we've set up, and the skulls in the center of the circle on the table, and we've got some candles lit. Laura has a boom mic over our heads. And yeah, so we just like hold hands and we're like, the spirit of Georgie, we call out to you, and the candles flicker and the table starts to shake, and yeah, so that's how it's going.
At a certain point during the ritual, you start to hear a knock, knock, knock on the door of the room. Knock, knock, knock.
Georgie, is that you?
Knock, knock, knock.
Come in, Georgie.
You hear the chunk of the door handle and the door slowly opening. Creak. And you hear a voice. I didn't want to say anything too loudly so as not to disturb the other guests. But before I head out for the night, I just want to make sure you don't need anything else. And it's Percy. Is everybody okay in here? Oh, it's very candles going on. Sorry, am I interrupting something?
No, we're fine, Percy.
Does the spirit take over Percy here?
Maybe, I don't know. I think he just stumbled into your seance. He says, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go now. I want you all to know it's been really nice getting to know you, even under these strange circumstances. I hope we have a chance to meet again someday." And he slowly backs out of the room, closes the door. And then you hear a knock, knock, knock on the door.
Percy, for the love of God, we're fine.
Knock, knock, knock.
Oh my God, just come in.
You have a key.
Knock, knock, knock.
Laura, could you get the door?
Laura goes to the door. And I think it's like one of those situations where like there's like a little kind of small hall, so you can't quite see what's happening, like right at the front of the door, right? And she opens it and she says, "Oh my God. Yes. Yes, I'll tell them everything." And she closes the door, comes back, white as a sheet. She says, "Sheriff Dalrymple murdered that little boy and blamed it on the commune. And Abraham Stockton helped him hide the body." And let's just call the session there. A little early, but I like that as a stopping point. So let's do end of session questions.
Whew.
Did not solve a mystery, but Esther, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official? Yeah. Did you share a memory of a late family member?
I was trying to, and then we got a little distracted. But I did talk about how Miguel was the only person.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. I like it. So you can take 2 XP. So you get an advancement plus 1 extra XP. Ruth, did you share your wisdom with a young person?
I definitely did that. I'm dropping knowledge on this podcast.
Did you behave like a woman half your age?
I don't think I actually did that one.
Okay, let's go to Ida. Did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
We hid the fact that we were reading the
the deputy.
From the deputy. So,
did you share your wisdom with a young person?
If we're including the scene I had with my daughter, I instructed her and reminded her of how to solve mazes.
Yep, flashbacks count. Laura, did you behave like a woman half your age?
I think so.
I think so, because Phoenix is half your age. Yeah. So I like it. And then did you share your wisdom with a young person?
I don't think so.
Very good. And with all that said, let's go to stars and wishes. Stars are things we enjoyed. Wishes are things we hope to see next time. Whoever wants to go first, go take it away.
One star that I had for sure was just how dedicated Laura, our Maven Laura, was in like sussing out more what was going on in the room. Like, just like she's there, she's listening, she cracks the door, she hides behind the curtains. Like the dedication there, I think, was really true to her character with her interest in more occult stuff. So I thought that was really cool. I liked getting strangled by a ghost. That's a sentence you don't get to say very often. That was pretty neat. I want other people to do some stars, kickstart my brain here a little bit.
I'll say that for a star, I like how there's essentially 3 stories going on that may or may not have any connection to each other, but Snowdrop House is just like the nexus of where these 3 things are kind of happening. And so I kind of love that. I mean, because you've got the 1967 story, you've got the midwives who are making an appearance, you've got the murder of Letitia Dawes. Like, all these things are kind of like converging. I'm curious if they have any connection to each other at all in the end, or if it's just just a sort of, this is just like a place of power or something, right? Which we've hinted at, right? Because this is where the old cult, the Whalers, used to do their deeds, right? So it's kind of I just like that thematically, like this is like a place of like bad shit, I just think it's pretty great. I've got other stars, but I'll let other people speak.
So I'm kind of digging Esther's low-key hitting on Ida.
Yeah, I was actually going to say I liked the sort of like death of one relationship and the early blossoming stages of another, potentially. It's like a fun.
See, well, I thought it felt like there was something going on with Ruth too. Like, I felt like it was like a 3-way kind of like thing maybe happening. I don't know, but it all kind of felt interesting to me in that way. And then Laura doing her own thing, of course. I love it. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, I like that, the creepiness of all of it. Definitely, it kind of got even more ratcheted up than last time, I think. And I felt that was really, it was interesting because it seemed somehow Laura got into her own kind of thing again, but very different from what I had expected. And I think the black dog really was creeping me out. Like, it really was, you could feel like, this presence in a sense. Especially, it was funny because I had this, basically when we went to the secret room, I already had this idea that at one point I would do the flashback of what had happened before with Phoenix and Laura. And so I was kind of waiting for the right moment, but it was interesting because it kept get pushed further away because of the kind of situation, which totally fit the situation itself, I think, with this kind of creepy, the dog there and people kind of talking about all this creepy stuff. And so Laura kind of hanging around and not really knowing whether she should just run away. And I like that. I also like the little details, Jason, the one you with the floorboards on the phone, the conversation with that might have been wrote from a ship. I like that a lot. That was nice. Yeah, and I also like the bird, the scene with talking about death, and and the snake and the owls, and yeah, that was so it was creepiness all around today, I think.
Yeah, another star for me was I really loved the scene with Esther and Ruth on the patio looking at the birds. I thought that was great. It was just so it's just so like it was kind of like, okay, there's this murder, okay, maybe they're just like decompressing, I get it. Oh, and then this like snake eats this bird. It was just like so like, I don't know, it had kind of like this like sudden like kind of intensity that I thought was really cool. Kind of played off the sort of intimacy of the moment. That was really great. I really love this. I really love the scene with Percy and Ida in the kitchen when they found the earring. I don't know. There's something about like Percy's up to something, right? And like, but we don't really know what it is, and it's like I almost like got the impression, like I don't know if this is how it's going to play out or not, but I almost got the impression of like Percy wanting you to find the earring, like, oh, look at this, like I almost got that impression a little bit, and so I guess a wish for me is to find out if Percy actually is involved in the murder of Letitia, because I mean, he even said at the end, he was even acting like he was leaving town because we know he has that bus ticket, right? So I'm just kind of curious, like what is the story there? I'm just dying to know how that works out, how it works itself out.
I love that Percy is as wholesome as he is suspicious.
Right. Yeah. He's like, yeah, in equal measure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he like totally is. I mean, like, why was he up there seeing if you needed anything at the end of the night, right? Like, he was totally snooping on you, but also he was just seeing if you needed anything at the end of the night,
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed all that. And I also just quite enjoyed the just the overall vibe was great. I was having a huge amount of fun, like just dropping in like lore and tidbits and little details, just really enjoying all that. It was a good time for me. So.
On Wish's theorize, I same boat. I really want to know what happens, what we're gonna establish as the canon here.
Yeah, definitely.
I was gonna give a star also. I really liked Ruth, like so hesitant, like so many terrible things happened and there was still this like sense of like, I mean, I don't need to get the bones, like Wyman is a monster, but there was still felt like a little part of you that was like, but I don't really want to believe it, that I really liked and felt like really true and honest.
Yeah, I really liked the kind of the setup of that, of just the like Wyman's sort of implied threat and like trying to be like, how would that actually affect her, because Wyman like really went from like a bumbling idiot in the last one to like really like feels like a very threatening character. Yeah. So, and that's one of my wishes is to kind of, I hope that Wyman gets like the Wyman storyline plays out, when we get some resolution on that.
So I'm wondering.
I would be sad if we murdered him, like for real. Like
I'm kind of with you.
Maybe we accidentally kill him along the way. Just saying, wouldn't be.
I mean, he gets eaten by a black dog.
I mean, if we think about like the full scope of that story, I mean, like if the ghost isn't lying, and I don't know why the ghost would lie, he murdered Georgie Mapplethorpe for some reason and then blamed it on the commune, and then led a march to the commune. Like that's some dastardly shit. Like there's no telling how long he's been doing shit like this in town, He's a monster. Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Yeah, I think I'm interested in, because somehow I think Laura just planned to basically kind of have a little fun with Miss Koufax, this old lady that she didn't know was involved in all of the stuff, by kind of pretending she was a deputy. And then Phoenix came in, and now it seems, I mean, I'm not sure if they believed any of it in general, but if they did, the two of them still believe she's somehow working for the police. So that might come in handy or be a problem next time.
Well, and
We'll
that
see.
that scene is super interesting in retrospect, knowing that they're both midwives, right? Like that like that moment like plays differently when you know that, you know. Yeah. Awesome. Any other stars and wishes before we go?
And wish, I definitely want to have a cozy scene with Esther and Ida in the next episode. That's on my wishes as well, for sure.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I think my only other, I think if I do have another wish, I'm just dying to know what the resolution of the mystery is. I really want to know like what's going on. As far as the murder goes, we may never learn what's going on with the midwives because you're not supposed to yet, but you're not supposed to know yet. But I'm curious if Sheriff Dalrymple, if that story is connected to the Letitia Dawes. Like that's the part I'm really interested in, right? So we'll see. But I think it'll be pretty cool. So, anything else before we go? Okie doke. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.